In this tutorial, you'll learn what a card sort is and how to conduct a successful card sorting session. Card sorting involves creating a list of terms or phrases and then asking people to organize them into groups. Card sorts can be very useful in building something from the point of view of your user rather than making assumptions. It's common to perform different types of card sorts at different stages of a project. Let's look at two different types. First, an in-person moderated card sort. Second, an online unmoderated card sort. Imagine you're part of a team helping a hospital redesign their website. For the initial session, you're the moderator in the same room as a single participant. You explain the project and then give them a number of content items written on cards, such as visiting hours, get directions to the hospital, phone numbers, pay a bill, and about 20 other items. Next, you ask your participant to sort the cards into categories in a way that makes sense to them. This leads us to big idea number 1. To get the most in-depth feedback, use an in-person moderated card sort. Whenever you're the moderator, you should encourage your participants to think out loud during the process. When they're done sorting, you can follow up on the things you observed. Here's an example of how that can lead to potentially interesting data. I noticed when you found those two cards, you put them together immediately, and they never moved. Do you mind reading those two aloud?
Yeah, those are the patient billing and insurance coverage cards.
Do you think there's another pile they could be grouped into, or any of the other cards that can be added to those two?
I don't know. I feel pretty strongly that these two would always belong together in their own group.
Okay, thanks. This strong opinion is interesting, but it might be unique to this participant. Take note and move on. For this next step, we're using an open card sort, which asks the participant to label their groups of cards when they're finished. Closed card sort asks participants to put their groups into labels you provide them. Each method has its pros and cons, which we don't have time to explore here. But if you want to learn more, there's a link to a useful article in the resource section of this video. Big idea number 2 is true no matter which method you use. Capturing the process is just as important as the card sort results. Here, the moderator uncovers something that could only have come up in conversation. Were any of the group names difficult to create?
Yeah, this one here, which I ended up calling services.
Why was that difficult?
It was difficult because the original pile was really easy to make. All of these items like orthopedics, cardiology, radiology, and so on are pretty similar and obvious. So I thought the name of the group would also be obvious, but I struggled between choosing treatments and services, and I just decided that services was fine. You know, weird, the phrase medical services just popped into my head. Is there still time to change my mind?
Absolutely. The moderator would never have gotten that insight if they were just looking at the final results and not engaging with the participant. This leads us to our best practice. Repeat your card sort multiple times in order to obtain relevant data. Somewhere between 20 and 30 participants are needed in order to get valid data and to observe legitimate patterns. Not everyone has the time and budget to schedule this many in-person card sorts. Luckily, there are other options. Which leads us to big idea number 3. Online, unmoderated card sorting allows you to validate your designs at scale. Thanks to online tools, you can open up your tests to a broad audience who can do card sorting remotely. It's typically easier to recruit participants this way since they can do the card sort at their own convenience. This is an unmoderated card sort using an online tool called Optimal Sort. In unmoderated sorts, participants do the card sort on their own, and you are sent the results. The benefit here is that you will receive more responses since you don't have to be available for each test. In this example, you note that 42 people agreed that the items patient billing and insurance coverage should be put under the billing and records group, and only 8 people agreed that they should be put under the patient and visitor information group. That's the basics of conducting a card sort. Be sure to check out the rest of the series and the rest of the course catalog on Gymnasium. Take care.